Shalom. I wanted to, I promised I'd get this other video out, what I found again in the book of Esther. And this was a great picture. It kind of demonstrates exactly what was going on. And I think it's a good pictograph, a good picture, so we can kind of, fine-tune how we are trying to understand this, because this is really something. Now I wanted to kind of go back and again a little bit of understanding, a little bit of teaching that we have going on here, and find out what's really happening, because the KJV and these later translations really doesn't paint the big picture what's really happening here. So again, we have to go back to the Septuagint. And what's going on is now they name her Aston in the Septuagint. Her name is Vashti in the other translations, and even in the Tanakh. So I'm not sure what happened with the translations, but that's the way it is. So if I say Aston, it's because that's the way they name it here. Now what's happening is in the king's palace, he had this huge feast. We know that. But also what's going on here, it kind of makes a little bit more clear, is that she's also having a banquet. She's having a banquet for the women, which were the wives of the other princes and the stewards and the leaders of the land. So she's having her own party during the same time. And then what happened is the chamberlain wanted her to come. And it says she had not done the things commanded of the king by the chamberlains. So she refused to obey King Xerxes. So she did this in front of the other women. That's why everybody was upset, because of her rebellion, and she refused to obey. Remember the other video that I did about gather and how they translated that as obey? That should have been translated obey, because there's many words for gather. Here we have it again, another picture of how important it is to obey. So that's why everybody was pretty ticked. So and that's why they did the decree. And so we go through here, and I wanted to, and it says here, made release. Now Esther had not discovered her kindreds to fear God, perform his commandments, as when she was with him, and Esther changed not her manner of life. She kept the appointments, the feast. And it says here, she neglected nothing which the chamberlain, the woman's keeper, commanded, for Esther found grace in the sight of all who looked upon her. So Esther went into the king. So he was going, they were actually, it said here that she was going to be crowned in one of these passages. I can't remember where it was. And so there's a lot going on here. It says here, Xerxes wanted the queen to be brought in to enthrone her and crown her with a diadem, and to show her with the prince to the princes, and her beauty to the nations, for she was beautiful. He was going to crown her and enthrone her, but she refused to obey. I hope that kind of paints a little bit of a bigger picture, like, whoa, okay. So here's the table that I was working on. And my access term, of course, was Sukkot. Of course, we're coming up on Sukkot, so why not? And there it came up. So the Psalmic, and here's the word right here, and I'll let you see. So banquet, closed, Philadelphia. Again, it's the same spelling that I did for full moon. Elul, of course, doorway, and door in the purple. So here is Philadelphia. It came up 4 times in here. I was just blown away. Okay, so here it is. So here's a lul right here, a lul, again with Sukkot, Philadelphia in the blue. Now the samach right here is where this comes up here in the scripture. So I finally figured out how to do that. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not yourself that in the king's palace you shall escape any more. So that's why she needed to obey. Interesting. So, again, obedience is better than sacrifice. So here we are here, and you can look at the tables, you can pause it. So look at where the closed and barred is. Come meet with him. He wants you to come meet with him in his appointments. Now, this is really cool. So I did the samach for one of the Philadelphia, and I believe that one was right here. That's one. Okay. I think it was. Let me see. It was either that one or this one over here. I apologize. I can't remember which one. But it was in chapter 5, verse 1. And it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal dress and stood in the inner court of the king's palace. Do you understand that it's his garments? So she obeyed the chamberlain, and she didn't pick the outfits herself. She let him do it. She let him do it because he knew what pleased the king. So, and here's the other passage. Then the king said to Haman, hurry and take the clothing and the horse, as you have said, and do so to Mordecai the Jew. So here again we have garments. So they're his garments, and as we do this, he's clothing us himself in the royal garments. So I thought that this would clarify and help kind of, paint the most beautiful picture that he's bringing his people into. If those that didn't feel like they belong. Now in the next video, I found who Vashti is. Vashti is not Israel at all, because Esther represents Israel, because he brought her in to save the people, to save Israel, to save the Jewish people also. So I wanted to put this out here, and I hope this blesses. And please look for the next video, because it'll be a hard one to do because I'm kind of nervous about it. But shalom.